The notification lit up my phone screen at 11:47 p.m. 3 words that would reshape my entire world. Can we talk? I stared at those words, my stomach already twisting into knots. Nothing good ever followed that question. I set down the project proposal I'd been reviewing and typed back, "Sure. What's up?" The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then reappeared. Sarah was choosing her words carefully. That was never a good sign in our 3-year relationship. "I think we need to take a break." There it was, the inevitable bomb I'd felt hovering over us for the past month. Ever since her promotion at the marketing firm, something had shifted. New happy hours with colleagues. Weekend team-building events. A distance I couldn't quite bridge. A break. I typed, though I knew exactly what she meant. "I love you, Jake. But I'm 26 and you're the only serious relationship I've ever had. I need to know what else is out there. I need to experience life, date around, figure out who I am outside of us." I sat there in my cramped apartment, surrounded by the remnants of our shared life. Her yoga mat in the corner. The ceramic mug she'd left here 3 months ago with a faded heart on it. The framed photo of us at her sister's wedding, both grinning like we'd won the lottery. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Part of me wanted to fight, to plead, to promise changes or adventures or whatever she thought she was missing. But another part of me, the part that had watched her grow increasingly restless, increasingly curious about what her single friends were doing, knew the truth. If I had to convince someone to stay, they were already gone. "Sure," I typed, just that one word. "If that's what you need, I understand." The dots appeared again, this time more frantic. She'd expected resistance, maybe even wanted it as proof I cared enough to fight. "Really? Just like that? What do you want me to say, Sarah? That I'll wait around while you date other people? That I'll be your safety net while you explore your options? I care about you too much to be that guy." "It's not like that." "Then what is it like? Because from where I'm sitting, you want the freedom to see if you can do better while keeping me on standby. That's not fair to either of us." The typing stopped. A minute passed, then 2. "You're right," she finally sent. "I'm sorry. This isn't fair to you. I don't want to have regrets." "I get it," I replied, surprised by how calm I sounded when everything inside me was crumbling. "But I won't be here when you're done exploring. That's my boundary. If you walk away, that door closes behind you." "Jake, please." "I mean it, Sarah. I love you. But I also love myself too much to be someone's backup plan." Another long pause. Then, "I understand. I'm so sorry." And just like that, 3 years evaporated into the digital ether. No final kiss. No tearful goodbye. Just 2 people typing words into screens, dismantling a relationship through pixels and careful punctuation. I set the phone down and stared at the ceiling, surprised I wasn't crying. Maybe I was numb. Or maybe, deep down, I'd seen this coming and had already started grieving. The worst part? I meant what I said. I wouldn't wait. Couldn't. That night, I boxed up her things, the yoga mat, the mug, the photos. I left the box by my door to drop off at her place over the weekend. Then I did something I hadn't done in 3 years. I went to bed without texting her goodnight. Felt like learning to breathe differently. Uncomfortable. Unnatural. But necessary. Because Sarah wanted to find herself, and I couldn't stop her. But I also couldn't put my life on pause while she did. So that night, as I lay in bed staring at our final text exchange, I made a decision. I was going to let her go completely, and I was going to build something better in the space she left behind. Starting tomorrow. The first 2 weeks were brutal. I'd reach for my phone every morning out of habit, fingers ready to type, "Good morning, beautiful," before remembering she wasn't mine to text anymore. Social media became a minefield. I'd catch glimpses of her at bars with coworkers, at brunches with friends, living what looked like her best life while I microwaved sad dinners for one. After the second weekend of wallowing, my best friend Marcus showed up at my apartment with gym clothes and zero patience. "Get up," he said, tossing a duffel bag at me. "You're done moping." "I'm not moping. I'm processing." "You're rotting. There's a difference. Let's go." That gym session nearly killed me. I'd neglected fitness during the relationship, too comfortable with movie nights and takeout. But as my muscles screamed and sweat poured down my face, something shifted. The physical pain drowned out the emotional ache. For 45 minutes, I thought about nothing but breathing and surviving. I went back the next day, and the day after that. Work became my second sanctuary. The project proposal I'd been reviewing when Sarah texted, I threw myself into it with obsessive focus. I started arriving an hour early, staying an hour late. Not to avoid going home to an empty apartment, though that was part of it, but because I genuinely wanted to excel. My manager, Patricia, noticed. "Jake, the analysis you put together on the Henderson account was exceptional. Are you interested in leading the Morrison pitch?" The Morrison account was huge. Career-defining. 6 months ago, I wouldn't have felt ready. But that version of me was dating Sarah, playing small, coasting. "Absolutely," I said. The next 8 weeks blurred together in the best way. Early mornings at the gym, where I'd graduated from barely managing 20 minutes on the treadmill to running 5 Burmese chots. Long days crafting presentations and strategies. Evenings reading business books and industry blogs instead of scrolling through Sarah's Instagram. I'd see her posts occasionally. Some guy's arm around her at a concert, champagne at a rooftop bar, captions about living my truth. Each one stung a little less. Not because I'd stopped caring, but because I was building something that felt more solid than her validation ever had. My own truth. My own life. Marcus dragged me to a networking event in week 10. I almost backed out, preferring my comfortable routine. But I went, made connections, talked about the Morrison pitch with genuine enthusiasm. A woman named Jennifer from a competitor firm told me I should consider applying for their senior analyst position. "We need people with your energy," she said. I hadn't thought about leaving my company. But that night I looked at the posting. The salary was 30% higher. The responsibilities were broader. The opportunity was real. I applied at 2 a.m., fueled by coffee and momentum. 3 weeks later, I landed the Morrison account. Patricia called me into her office with a smile I'd never seen before. "We're promoting you to senior consultant. Effective immediately. This includes a raise, a team, and equity options." I'd worked at the company for 4 years, slowly climbing. In 3 months of focused effort, I'd leaped further than I had in the previous 3 years. That night, Marcus insisted on celebration drinks. At the bar, surrounded by colleagues and friends who'd supported my transformation, I realized something profound. I'd spent so much energy trying to be enough for Sarah that I'd forgotten to be enough for myself. "You look different," Marcus observed. "Not just the 20 pounds you've lost. You look settled." "I feel it," I admitted. "For the first time in months, I'm not waiting for something. I'm just living." My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Hey Jake, it's Sarah. Can we talk?" I stared at those words, the same ones that had started this journey 3 months ago. Marcus glanced at my screen and whistled. "What are you going to do?" I thought about the gym sessions, the promotion, the version of myself I'd built from the rubble of heartbreak. Then I turned my phone face down. "Nothing," I said. "I'm exactly where I need to be." Marcus grinned and raised his glass. "To new beginnings." "To new beginnings," I echoed. I didn't respond to Sarah's text that night, or the next day, because the truth was, I no longer needed closure from her. I'd found something better. Clarity about who I was and what I deserved. And whatever she wanted to talk about, it belonged to the past. I was busy building my future. I didn't know it then, but while I was collecting promotions and peace of mind, Sarah's freedom was becoming a cage of her own making. I learned this months later, pieced together from mutual friends who couldn't resist sharing the drama. But that night at the bar, celebrating my promotion, I was blissfully ignorant of her unraveling. Sarah's experience started promisingly enough, at least from her perspective. Within days of our break, she'd matched with dozens of men on dating apps. Attention flooded in, validating her decision. See, the world was full of options. The first guy, Tyler, was a personal trainer with perfect abs and a motorcycle. He took her to trendy restaurants, posted her on his Instagram stories, made her feel desirable in ways she'd convinced herself I never could. She told her friends she'd made the right choice. Tyler ghosted her after 3 weeks when she mentioned wanting something serious. The second guy, Brandon, was a marketing director at a rival firm. Successful, charming, seemingly perfect. They dated for a month before Sarah discovered he had a girlfriend in another city. He'd been keeping his options open. The third, fourth, and fifth guys blurred together. Men who said what she wanted to hear until they got what they wanted, then disappeared like smoke. Meanwhile, her friend's group chat, which I saw much later through Marcus, who'd heard from his girlfriend, who was still friends with Sarah, told a darker story. Another one just wanted sex, Sarah texted them after date 7. Why can't I find someone like Jake? But, more exciting. Her friend Melissa responded bluntly. Because you had someone like Jake, you let him go looking for exciting. Exciting doesn't call the next day. At work, Sarah's promotion came with pressure she hadn't anticipated. The happy hours weren't bonding, they were mandatory networking. The weekend events weren't fun, they were competitive displays. The grass she'd thought was greener was artificial turf. By month 4, her Instagram posts changed. Fewer bars and concerts, more inspirational quotes about finding yourself and growth. The universal signal of someone not growing at all. She texted me twice during this period. Once asking to talk, which I ignored. Once saying simply, I hope you're well, which felt like fishing for information about my life. I didn't respond. I was too busy actually being well. At work, I was thriving. My new team respected me. The projects under my leadership were succeeding. Patricia mentioned partnership track, something I'd never imagined possible so soon. At the gym, I'd become a regular. The morning crew knew my name. I completed my first 10K race. My body felt strong in ways it never had. And then there was Emily. I met her at a friend's birthday party in month 5. She was a teacher, with kind eyes and a genuine laugh that didn't feel performed. We talked for hours about books, travel dreams, the ridiculous dating horror stories we'd accumulated. So you're recently single? She asked. Depends on your definition of recent. 5 months ago, my girlfriend decided to explore other options. Emily winced. Ouch. How'd that work out for her? No idea. We don't talk. Good for you, she said, surprising me. Too many people orbit their exes. It's refreshing to meet someone who actually moved on. We exchanged numbers. She texted me the next day, no games, no 3-day waiting rules, asking if I wanted to grab coffee. That coffee became dinner. Dinner became a weekend hike. The hike became regular dates where I found myself laughing more than I had in years. Emily was different from Sarah in fundamental ways. She was secure where Sarah was restless. She communicated clearly where Sarah hinted and hoped. She celebrated my successes rather than competing with them. I got the partnership track offer. I told her on date 8, still processing the news. Her face lit up. Jake, that's incredible. We're celebrating. Where do you want to go? No jealousy. No making it about her. Just pure, genuine happiness for my achievement. That's when I knew. This was what a healthy relationship felt like. We made it official on date 12. I updated my social media relationship status for the first time in months. Posted a photo of us at dinner, her head on my shoulder, both of us smiling like people who'd found something real. Marcus called me that night. Dude, Sarah's been blowing up our group chat. About what? She saw your post. She's not handling it well. I waited for the satisfaction, the vindication, the I told you so feeling. It didn't come. Instead, I just felt sad for her. That's unfortunate, I said. But it's not my problem anymore. Cold-blooded, Marcus laughed. I'm proud of you, but it wasn't cold. It was clarity. Sarah had made her choice when she sent that text 6 months ago. She'd wanted to see what else was out there, and she'd found her answer. Meanwhile, I'd found mine too, and my answer was holding my hand, making me laugh, and building something genuine with me. The break Sarah initiated had broken me open, but in that breaking, I'd reconstructed something better. Someone better. And now that person was taken, flourishing and genuinely happy. Sarah's text came on a Thursday evening while Emily and I were cooking dinner together. Jake, please, I need to talk to you. I made a terrible mistake. Then another, I've been trying to reach out for months. Why won't you respond? And another, I saw you're with someone. Is it serious? Can we at least talk as friends? Emily noticed my expression. Everything okay? I showed her the texts. We'd been together for 3 months, but we'd built a foundation of honesty that made this easy. That's your ex? The one who wanted to date around? Yeah. Emily stirred the pasta sauce thoughtfully. What do you want to do? Nothing. But I feel like I should respond. Give her closure or something. Jake, Emily said gently, you don't owe anyone closure except yourself. And you clearly already have that. She was right. But another part of me, the part that had loved Sarah for 3 years, felt the pull of old loyalty. I think I need to respond once, just to be clear. Emily kissed my cheek. Then do what you need to do. I trust you. That trust meant everything. I stepped into my home office and typed, Sarah, I hope you're well, but I've moved on. I'm in a happy relationship and I don't think talking would be appropriate or helpful for either of us. I wish you the best. Her response came in seconds. You're really not even willing to talk to me? After everything we had. Everything we had ended when you sent that text asking for a break. You made your choice. I made mine. There's nothing to discuss. I was confused. I made a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes. I took a breath, typed carefully. I know, and I hope you've learned from it. But your mistake doesn't obligate me to give you a second chance. I'm different now. We both are. Let's leave it there. Jake, please. I turned off my phone. Emily found me sitting there, staring at the blank screen. Done. Done. She pulled me up, wrapped her arms around me. Proud of you. Now come on, dinner's ready. But Sarah didn't stop. Over the next 2 weeks, the messages escalated. First to my work email, which I blocked. Then she showed up at my gym. I was finishing a workout when I saw her near the entrance. She looked different, thinner, tired. Less of the glow she'd had when she was chasing her freedom. Jake, please. 5 minutes. People were staring. I didn't want a scene. Fine. 5 minutes. Outside. We stood in the parking lot, the February cold biting through my post-workout sweat. I'm sorry, she started. I'm so sorry. I was an idiot. Everything I thought I wanted was empty. Those guys were all terrible. My job is stressful. I'm alone all the time. And I see you thriving and I realize I gave up the best thing in my life. I listened, waiting for the surge of vindication or satisfaction. Still didn't come. Just sadness. I'm sorry you're struggling, I said honestly. But Sarah, even if I were single, we couldn't go back. Do you know why? She shook her head, tears streaming. Because I'm not the same person you left. That guy would have waited for you. That guy would have taken you back, grateful you'd returned. That guy built his life around making you happy, even when it made him miserable. You weren't miserable. I interrupted. I was shrinking myself to fit into your life, making myself smaller so you'd feel bigger. That's not love, Sarah. That's codependency. And now, with her, now I'm someone who knows his worth. Someone who won't accept breadcrumbs or be someone's backup plan. Someone who's built a life I'm proud of, with someone who celebrates that life instead of competing with it. Sarah's face crumpled. So that's it? 3 years means nothing. It means everything. Taught me what I don't want. And what I deserve. I softened my voice. Sarah, you deserve better too. But you won't find it by trying to reclaim something that wasn't working. You need to do for yourself what I did. Figure out who you are without defining yourself by who wants you. I don't know how to do that. Therapy helps. So does getting off dating apps. So does building a life that fulfills you whether you're single or not. She nodded slowly, wiping her eyes. Are you happy? Really? I am. Really. Then I guess I got my answer about what else was out there. Yeah, I said gently. I guess we both did. 6 months later, I was at Marcus's wedding when I saw Sarah across the venue. She was there with mutual friends, looking healthier than she had in the parking lot, but still carrying that shadow of regret. Emily squeezed my hand. You okay? Yeah, actually, I am. Sarah caught my eye and offered a small, sad smile. I nodded back, cordial but distant. There was no animosity left, but there was no connection either. Just two people who used to know each other. During the reception, while Emily was chatting with the bridesmaids, Marcus pulled me aside. You know, Sarah asked about you earlier? Asked if you seemed happy. What did you tell her? The truth. That you're happier than I've ever seen you. That you and Emily are talking about moving in together. That you made partner at work last month. He paused. She cried a little. I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I felt nothing but peace. That's sad, I said. I hope she finds her way. Bro, you've changed so much. Old Jake would have been twisted up about this. Old Jake was twisted up about everything. Always worried about being enough. Doing enough. Keeping everyone happy except himself. And new Jake. I looked across the room at Emily, laughing with strangers like they were old friends, completely comfortable in her own skin. She caught me looking and blew me a kiss. New Jake knows that the right person doesn't need convincing. They choose you every day, clearly and consistently. And you choose them the same way. Later, as Emily and I danced, she whispered, I saw you talking to Marcus. Was it about her? Briefly. And I'm grateful to her, honestly. Emily pulled back to look at me. That's either very evolved or slightly crazy. Maybe both. But if she hadn't sent that text, I'd still be that smaller version of myself. I'd never have pushed myself at work, never have gotten healthy, never have become someone who could be a good partner for someone like you. Someone like me? Someone whole. Someone who doesn't need me to complete them, but chooses to share a life with me anyway. That's the difference. Emily rested her head on my chest. You know what the best part is? You didn't do all that work to get her back or prove something to her. You did it for yourself. She was right. Every gym session, every promotion, every therapy appointment, every moment of building my new life. None of it was about Sarah. It was about becoming the person I'd always had the potential to be. Sarah had wanted freedom to explore, to see what else was out there. And in a twisted way, she'd given me that same freedom. Freedom from seeking validation externally. Freedom from shrinking myself. Freedom to build something real. The irony was that while she was out searching for something better, she'd released someone who became better. And when she'd realized it, the window had closed. Not out of spite, but out of growth. As the wedding wound down, Emily and I said our goodbyes. In the parking lot, I caught Sarah watching us from the venue entrance. She raised a hand in a small wave. I waved back. Let's go home, Emily said, taking my hand. Home. Our apartment, the one we just signed a lease for together. The one with enough space for both our book collections, a proper kitchen for our cooking experiments, and a future we were building brick by brick. That night, lying in bed with Emily asleep beside me, I thought about that text from 14 months ago. Let's take a break so I can date around. I'd replied, sure. That one word had seemed like defeat at the time, like I was giving up without a fight. But now I understood. It was liberation. Sarah had taught me that real love doesn't need to chase. It doesn't need to convince or compete or compromise yourself into someone unrecognizable. Real love sees you clearly and chooses you anyway. She'd wanted freedom, and in seeking it, she'd freed us both. I'd found myself. Then I'd found Emily. And in that order, which mattered more than I ever knew, I'd found happiness that wasn't contingent on anyone's validation but my own. My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. You looked happy tonight. I'm glad. Really. I'm sorry for everything. But I'm glad something good came from it for you. For the first time, I felt ready to respond with genuine closure. I hope you find that same happiness, Sarah. Not in someone else, but in yourself. You deserve it. Take care. She replied with a simple heart emoji. Then, finally, thank you. Goodbye, Jake. Goodbye. I deleted the thread, not out of anger, but out of completion and set my phone down. Emily stirred beside me. Who was that? Nobody important, I said, pulling her close. And that was the truth. Not because Sarah didn't matter, but because she was no longer the main character in my story. And I'd finally written myself a happy ending.